Welcome to day 17 of our 30 days AI automation. Today, we are not going to be building any workflow. I want us to understand what we need to do before we even jump on the computer to start building. So, the topic is before you build your next AI automation workflow. And this presentation, I made it using AI. I will tell you how I did it at the end of the day. Let's come back to the class. Before you even jump on anything or Zapier or make.com or any other thing to start building, you need to do what I call design first automation. Have your blueprint first before you jump on the computer and you start building. This is what a lot of people do. They engage in what I call spaghetti workflow. In spaghetti workflow, there is no plan. You are just building it on the fly. You engage in unplanned logic, you have missing validation, redundant loop here and there because there was no plan. I remember several years ago when I was kind of facilitating for Intel in one of our courses, in one of the manuals. We normally advocate for like first step. We're teaching people computer, then we say plan it is the first stage, and you have a pencil beside the planet, meaning before you touch the computer to use Word or Excel or PowerPoint, first of all plan what you want to do. So let us stop engaging in what I call spaghetti workflow, because it will waste your hours. You build, you delete, you go back again, you get frustrated, you have errors that you've not planned for, and then your workflow become unmanageably difficult and complex. What we want to be doing is to follow the structured approach, meaning you want to do what I call design thinking. You treat automation as a visual design challenge. You eliminate the ambiguity before execution begins. You want to place everything on a paper and say, this is what I'm building. You want to start by understanding the business workflow manually. How do you do your things? If it's for your clients, run me through your daily activities. People come to my store, they request for this, we give it to them. Or they will receive a phone call, we respond to them, we help them book the hotel. Whatever you're doing, you want to understand the business workflow first. If you do not understand the business itself, then building the AI automation for them will become a problem. So don't do the spaghetti workflow, do the structured approach. Understand what is going on, discovery, understand what they're doing, map the user's journey, understand if the existing workflow needs a form of fixing before you even automate it. You cannot automate error, you can't automate redundancy. You've got to look at what is on the table, let them agree with you what you need to take away, what you need to include before you start building. When you're done with that, then you as a person going forward now, you should assume the responsibilities of both the architect and the builder. This is the ultimate that I will ask you to do. Architects will plan. So meaning you sat down with them to understand their business workflow. Now you know their pain points. You know what the problem is all about. So you want to plan and look at it. In reality, let's talk about building a house. Everybody will not just converge at the virgin land and then you start building without any plan. You don't even know if you're building a 6 bedroom or you're building a duplex. Everybody start building, no plan regarding where the sitting room is going to be or the bedroom or how big it is even going to be. You've got to plan. Planning is the most important thing here. Strategy precedes implementation. After you must have planned, that is when you now become the builder and you start to execute. That is when you go on make.com or Zapier or anything. It could even this setup can even be used in other things. You want to plan before you start building. When you do this, you get what I call absolute clarity. Every decision point and input is defined before you even start, and this will increase your execution speed because you already know what you're building. You're not wasting time trying to understand the flow on the job, and then when things break, you compare the live workflow against the map against what you are building. You map it and say, oh, this is how it works offline. Oh, this is what I'm building. So what are the steps now? Now you know what I'm talking about, architect versus the builder. So what are the phases? Phase one now is to map the has his reality, meaning as it is manually, what you've listened to them, what you understand by their business, you want to map it to reality. So I say before adding automation, document the current manual process. Don't skip anything. So create that checklist. Who perform what tasks? What are the inputs and outputs? What tools are they currently used? If they are using Gmail, if they are using Slack, if they are using Airtable, if they are using anything at all, you want to understand what they are using to perform different actions. So do the mapping checklist. Try and understand what they do. And this is an example of like the manual sketch of what they do. Oh, the customer email comes in, the agent reads, agent decides, there is sale, there is support. You want to start with this mapping checklist. Phase one still continues. Then you identify the friction points and the bottlenecks. Like I said earlier on, you can't just automate a broken process. This is the word of Jane Rose. You can't automate a broken process. You know, in reality, you want to look at it. Oh, this is the data entry. This is where you start from. Oh, the manual copy and pasting. What do we do regarding that? You're already thinking. You are trying to identify the friction points. Here, there is a manual process. Maybe that's what they do at the moment. So while they are copying and pasting, it creates error. You're already thinking what to do to fix it. They review it and there is an approval. So there is an handoff gap. Information get lost in the mail. So you're already thinking, should I also send notification to the person? Should I create like a human in the loop along the line? You are thinking. So you gather information from the employees doing the work daily. They know better. They know exactly what slows them down. That is what you want to help them fix. It's not just to understand their process, to also understand their pain points, their friction points, their bottlenecks, because your job will be measured at the end of the day in terms of return on investment. How much they've paid you, are they now getting something in return at the end of the day? Still part of phase one is still the audit, right? If you can't measure it, I said you can't automate it. So define the specific quantitative objectives that you yourself with the client want to use to measure success. Don't just give them vague goals like, oh, we'll make the process faster. How? You improve sorting efficiency. What does that mean? You reduce error. As how? So you want to use measurable objectives. Oh, at the end of my automation for you, we should be able to reduce invoice processing from 5 days to 2 days. That's something that a manager will want to listen to. Oh, we want to increase the sorting speed by 35% so that you'll be able to do more every day. Okay, we are getting there. Or we will eliminate 100% of manual data entry. So it's going to be right from the form into the flow and we start doing all that. So you want to measure before you even say you are automating so that your work will be measured against what they are doing before. That is the only time they can appreciate you. So you've done the auditing, which is the first phase to understand what's going on, their pain point, their bottleneck, and every other thing. So the next thing is for you to now map it before you build it. You want to now grab your pen and paper, or you want to grab PowerPoint or any tool that you're so much comfortable with to now draw the workflow on paper or on the computer, but not on the real tool you want to use to build your automation. So I say step one here, what's your starting point? So what's going to be your trigger? You need to identify that. What's going to be my trigger? Oh, when the invoice is submitted. Oh, when a form is filled. Oh, when a chat comes in. Oh, when a call is received. You are mapping that and say, oh, this is where I'm starting my entire workflow. Then you want to list all actions and decisions. You want to list all those things. What are the actions that should happen in my workflow? You want to document all the tasks, all the decisions. If the call is positive, move here. If it is negative, move here. Oh, if the phone number submitted is correct, call the person. If not, do this. You want to list the actions and decisions. Then you want to now define your data flow. What is going to be an input in one node? What is the expected output in that node? What format would you love to see the output? Maybe you want to use your output structured parser to, make it appear in the way that you love it to appear so that you can use it. And then number four, you now draw everything together. You draw it together, and finally you start building in anything. I will now dissect this number four now. How do you build the blueprint? How do you build it? Right. So we've dealt with the audit. Number two now is wireframing. You want to build the wireframe. We call it wireframe. What you are building, your flow chart or anything you want to call it, your draft workflow or paper or computer. So you can use these tools to do that. This shape for your trigger, you can use a circle for your trigger. Oh, when form is submitted, unscheduled, when call comes in, all those triggers. Things that has to do with decision, you can use this shape. And for actions, you can use this square shape. Okay, let's break them down now. Identify the trigger event. So your trigger event, you want to use this circle, or it could be a webhook, it could be a schedule, it could be an event. So that's your first one. But for the actions and decisions, look at them. You want to use this as where you are taking decision. What happens if it is no? What happens if it is yes? And then the cycle continues. So you want to map the happy part and the edge cases. So happy part, you're like, okay, yes. The edge cases, you're like, oh, maybe if this doesn't go this way, it should go that way. So you are now drawing. And then the critical layer, you use is this square or rectangle now, where you now have those your data flow, you put the lines there, and you have all this. So you can use these shapes when building your entire wireframe. So build the wireframe on paper, build the wireframe using PowerPoint shapes, use the wireframe using any tool at all you are comfortable with. But I tell you, at times I use pen and paper. Just grab my pen and write it down yourself. It works. After you must have done that, then you come to phase three, which is now translating and building. So you want to translate your wireframe to the main thing. So the paper prototype test first. You test it manually and say, what I drew, will it work? Am I missing anything? You check, you review. I think I've captured all the steps and processes, because testing manually here, I put it here that it gives your team a chance to get familiar with changes before automation goes live. So you can easily catch your missing step, you can standardize the procedure, you get team buy-in before the robot takes over. This is important. You don't just build something and then the company saying, no, we can't have it run this way. We need it this way. Somebody must approve before it goes out. So you want to get a team buy-in before robot takes over. When you're fine with a paper prototype test, you now build. You now translate all these shapes now to your nodes, and you build what you want. So you convert the wireframe shapes into specific N8N nodes. This will be easy because you are not guessing again. You are not saying what's the next thing. It helps you. Then at the end of the day, your job is not done. You monitor. We're talking AI. Maybe you're using AI agent to draft something there. You need to monitor if it's actually drafting what is supposed to be drafted, if it's sending what is supposed to send. You monitor, you adjust, and you optimize. So automation is a product, not a one-time task. It requires iteration based on performance feedback. And this is directly close to what I call prompting, especially if you're using AI agents in your automation. Your prompt, you'll be fine tuning your prompt to ensure that it's doing what it's supposed to do. So you monitor, you adjust, you optimize, you watch response time and job completion, not just whether it's done the work. You also want to watch the response time. You get feedback, you listen to the people you've built for after they've tested it, you adjust, you update the logic, you improve the speed and the error handling, and you also plan for API downtimes and build error paths into your design. So this is the right steps that can help you, you know, be able to build something that is solid. Even if you're applying for job, for automation job, if you are able to break down these steps and tell them this is how I will approach your job, they will be so much comfortable with you and say this guy knows what he's doing, rather than you just say, I will build something for you. No, you want to be more detailed and run them through what you intend to do with them. This is solid. And at the end of the day, you're not just building automation for building automation's sake. You want to show them what the ROI is going to be, return on investment. These are examples. When you now tell somebody, oh, I built something for this particular bank, the problem initially was manual bottleneck in loan approval. What happens now? At the end of the day, we standardize data entry and automate the routine check. What happened? 50% reduction in loan approval time. This company will be like, yes, we made the right investment by trying to automate. Or maybe this company now, oh, peak season sorting pressure, you automate the sorting and routing system, and boom, there is a 35 increase in sorting speed and throughout and throughput. This is what you're aiming for at the end of the day. So in summary, automation manifesto, you can take as your own pledge now. Start with a pen, end with a bot, meaning your AI automation, whatever. Start with a pen and end there. Map the as is, don't automate a broken process. Define your trigger, draw your whatever, trace the data, test manually before you even build. So, good workflow planning makes automation smoother, more effective, and easier to adopt. So, this is what we are learning today so that it will help you when you're trying to build your workflow, your building anything at all. You can see that that's what I've just discussed with even other things. So our take home is, explain all I've done in the chat. Put it there on Facebook, on YouTube, on TikTok, wherever, on LinkedIn, wherever you're watching. Break it down. Give me like your own 5 bullets of what you've been able to pick up from today's class. Let's keep building. Don't give up. We're 17 days in already, 13 more days to go. So have a lovely week. So how did I make my PowerPoint presentation? I love using Notebook LM. So everything that I have planned, I fed it here as my sources. Then I came here to use the slide deck here. Then I gave it my prompt here. So maybe you're like, how was it able to come up with beautiful colors? So I said, create aesthetically nice presentation as if you're using an Adobe or Figma design to make it look colorful on the topic, so and so. And it was able to create that presentation for me. So if you've not tried Notebook LM before, Notebook LM is like one of my favorite now when it comes to creating content. You want to do mind mapping, infographics, and all that. It even helped with this particular infographics too. It helped did all those things. So you can kind of take a shot at Google Notebook LM. It's one of my go-to tools now when it comes to designs, infographics, PowerPoint, and all that.